Imagine a time in your life where you had to leave your family. Maybe it was for going to work, maybe it was going to school, or a business trip even. You say your goodbyes to your family and tell them you will see them soon. Not a care in the world, knowing your family is safe and you will be there when you return. Now, imagine you got back to your home and everyone was gone without a trace. You look around your home and see nothing unusual. Just that everyone is gone, no struggle, no anything. Until you see a single word scratched into your wall. Whether this is a clue or left by whoever did this is a mystery to you. Could you imagine this happening to you? Because unfortunately this did happen to an old English fellow who left his colonists in America as he sailed back for supplies. Unfortunately, when he finally was able to return, no one could make sense of what happened to the colonists. This is the Lost Colony of Roanoke. The origins of one of America's oldest unsolved mysteries can be traced to August 1587, when a group of about 115 English settlers arrived on Roanoke Island, off the coast of what is now North Carolina. Following an earlier, failed attempt at settlement on Roanoke 2 years earlier, these colonists intended to form the first permanent English outpost in the New World. The governor of these people was John White, an explorer and artist. Once arriving to Roanoke Island, John White had brought his own daughter, Eleanor White Dare, along with 87 men, 17 women, and 11 children. Eleanor White was pregnant during the voyage to America, and gave birth to her daughter in Roanoke, Virginia Dare, the first baby to be born to English parents in North America. Landing in July 1587, for the next month and a half, the Roanoke colonies would be attacked by Native Americans. Because of these attacks, colonists begged John White to return to England to retrieve food, tools, and other supplies. The voyage would take 66 days, more than 2 months. But John White wouldn't return to Roanoke for 3 years. The Anglo-Spanish War was about to begin, and tensions were starting to flare between England and Spain. Spain had an extremely strong armada, and because of this, returning to North America would be extremely dangerous, forcing John White to wander about his colony all alone in North America for 3 years. John was finally able to sail back to Roanoke with the supplies and soldiers they requested 3 years ago, but upon arriving, he would find something extremely disturbing. The entire colony was gone. There was no trace of anything to show struggle, no blood which ruled out an attack, and nothing stolen. It was as if the colonists just up and vanished. As John White looked around for any clues on what might have happened to his colonists, he found 2 messages: Croatoan carved into a fence post, and Crow carved into a tree. John believed that this might have meant his colonists went south to Croatoan Island. John would make 2 attempts to sail down there, about 50 miles south. According to John White, however, both trips were stopped because of heavy storms. Because the boat John was using was privately owned, he could not continue looking for the colonists for a 3rd time. He would then return to England, move to Ireland, and pass away in 1593, never knowing what became of Eleanor Dare or the rest of his colonists. While John was not able to attempt to look for the colonists anymore, Walter Raleigh became the new governor of Roanoke. He would tell England that he believed that the colonists simply went to Croatoan and safely re-established the colony. Walter simply told the government this so he could still legally maintain his claim in Virginia. While Walter would eventually go to Croatoan to try to look for these missing colonists, he would say that he saw smoke from what looked like a fire being made at the island, but would claim that because of the weather, he wasn't able to go to the land to confirm this. Because of his lying and trying to hold onto his claim in Virginia to sell sassafras, Walter was implicated in the main plot and arrested for treason against King James, effectively ending his Virginia charter. Others would then try to find the lost colonists, but these would end with either them being killed by the natives in the area, bad weather, or simply having better things to do. Sea traffic began to fall in the early 17th century through Roanoke Island due to the dangerous waters. Therefore, the interest in the missing colonists soon disappeared as well. But that didn't stop humanity throughout the future thinking of some ideas of what might have happened on this island. The most popular theory is that the colonists were simply killed by the nearby Native Americans. Before John left the colony, there were reports of several Native American attacks the month he was there. This wasn't the first time that Roanoke was colonized by the English. In 1585, another boatload of English would try to colonize Roanoke, only to be met with an almost non-stop attacks from the natives and a short supply of food. Governor at that time, Ralph Lane, would actually kill the chief of the native tribe, putting a thorn in the side of the natives. While this is the most famous theory, no mass graves or bodies or bones were ever found in the area. One of the next theories of what happened to the colonists would be the colonists joined a nearby friendly Native American tribe. A Native American named Monteo made a couple journeys to England during the time of the Roanoke settlement. On his way back from England, John White wanted to make Monteo the chief of Roanoke and Croatoan tribes. But because Monteo could not control the Roanoke tribe, he ended up just going back to Croatoan Island to be with his people. It is possible that Monteo could have returned to the colonists and had them join his tribe. Here's where it gets interesting on this theory. In 1888, 54 Croatoan natives petitioned Congress for aid, describing themselves as remnants of White's lost colony. The U.S. Bureau stated that traces of white blood could be found amongst the natives, some even having gray eyes. In 2015, archaeologists found European objects on Croatoan Island, now called Hatteras Island, where the natives lived. However, because John and Ralph could never make it to Croatoan Island, this was never confirmed. The next theory would be that the colonists moved inland to North America. John White created a very detailed watercolor map which included Croatoan and Roanoke Islands. The map was extremely accurate for it to be made in the 16th century. This map was not only super accurate, but it also held secrets. Patches were on the map, but these were not to be thought of anything crazy, as putting patches on maps in the 16th century was a common thing, as restarting a whole map was not a viable option. But as historians reinvestigated the map in the 21st century, it was found that a star shape was found underneath the patch with blue and red coloring, which seemed to represent a fort. The star could be where the colonists then relocated, but why hide the colonists' location? Some believe that John wanted to hide the colonists from English court, as Roanoke could have possibly had spies. Excavation of this area has found 16th century European objects here as well, but nothing to definitively point to Roanoke colonists. With all the logical theories out of the way, it's time to put on our tinfoil hats, as our next theory is that the lost colony of Roanoke was mass abducted by aliens. With this theory, that would explain the last-minute message on the fence posts and trees, as last-minute calls for help. And with John White covering up the star with a patch, could it be he was hiding something, perhaps maybe a landing area for the aliens, or something in regards to them? But that's not the only outlandish theory. Our last one for today is one of my favorite outlandish theories ever, that the lost colony of Roanoke was destroyed by a zombie plague. This would explain why there was no one left alive, as a case of zombies would not leave any man, woman, or child alive. And because it was on an isolated island, this could be the only time a zombie plague has ever happened, and it was contained instantly. However, as much as I love this crazy theory, and removing cannibalism in general, we would see remains left of the dead bodies, as I don't think they would worry about cleanliness if they were dead or starving. Out of all the theories we have learned, I personally believe that they went to Croatoan and joined the Native American tribe. The fact that we had Native Americans with traces of white blood and then asking the U.S. Bureau for aid, saying that they are the lost colony, it's kind of hard to deny that. I don't believe the Native Americans would make that up. So therefore, I believe that's what happened, but nothing is definitive. Unfortunately, we may never know what happened to the lost colony of Roanoke. With how old the history is and the land constantly changing, as well as not being able to check Croatoan Island after discovering they were gone, the lost colony of Roanoke may remain lost forever. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed what you listened to, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to not miss any more updated content. You guys seem to really like when I did the Iceberg video, so I decided that I will be including horror videos in the future if these continue to do well. If these don't do well, then I will simply stop them. But I didn't want to leave my other subscribers who subscribed before I did the Icebergs behind. So I'm going to try to balance out all the projects I have and make it so it's an even flow of content for everyone. With that being said, thank you guys so much for the love on the Iceberg videos, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week.